Hello, my name is Long and I'm a third year student here at UNC. The project I will be presenting will be image cutting via seam carving. The main problem is trying to display images without distortion on media of various sizes, such as on cell phones. However, using document standards like HTML, there is support for dynamic changes in page layout and text, but not for images. As you can see, if you were to crop an image, you could lose important content within the image, while scaling an image will cause an undesirable distortion of the image. The solution comes with seam carving, which is an algorithm for content-aware image resizing, and in this particular case, shrinks an image to the desired dimension. The algorithm is as follows. First, you determine the importance or energy of each pixel through an energy function. There are many algorithms that you can use for the energy function, but I decided to implement the dual gradient energy function, which I give credits to Princeton University. The formula follows that pixel xy, with x representing columns and y representing rows, being the square root of the squared x gradient added with the squared y gradient. To calculate the x gradient, we find the differences in the RGB components between pixel x plus 1y and pixel x minus 1y. Square each RGB component and then add them together to get the x gradient. This is similarly applied to get the y gradient. The end result is that this function measures the importance of each pixel, where the higher the energy, the less likely the pixel will be included as part of a seam. Next, we calculate the least important seam in the image. This was done through dynamic programming, where we calculated a path of least importance by checking a pixel's legal neighbors in the direction of the seam. After calculating the least important seam, we then remove the seam, and in my case, I just shifted the pixels. For example, if we're reducing the width of an image, we shift all pixels right of the seam to the left, which then closes the seam. This is similarly applied if we were to reduce the height of an image, in which we shift all pixels below the seam upwards. Lastly, this was done in a loop where we repeat these steps until the desired dimensions are achieved. Note that to shrink the image in both directions, I decided to shrink the width of an image first, followed by shrinking the height of the image. For set 1, I chose a nature shot with calm water and mountains in the background. The result came out quite nice. The top of the water was removed, the mountains came closer together, and the rock was still intact, but it's cut just a little bit. I was also satisfied with set 2, which includes an Oscar Mayer hot dog car. Shrinking the width only cut the left side of the image and a bit of the front of the car, while shrinking the height was just a matter of removing the skies and lowering the tree height. Set 3 didn't come out as expected, however, I was still amused. I was hoping that carving the image would result in the players coming closer together in both directions, but all the players look funnily deformed. For set 4, I wanted to experiment with what would happen to a long mountain road, and as expected, least important seams were involving the road. When shrinking, the road was usually the object being cut due to having less texture compared to the mountains and trees. For the last two sets, I tried seam carving on my own images. Set 5 worked really well, in which the Statue of Liberty wasn't distorted at all until extreme shrinkage. However, you can still see a bit of an artifact at the bottom of the image where humans are present. As for the sixth set, it didn't work too well upon shrinkage of a single direction, but turned out decent with shrinkage in both directions. When I applied both directions, it seemed almost natural, where the only noticeable artifact was the cross on the back of my shirt. The hardest challenge was definitely choosing an energy function, as results heavily depend on what algorithm is chosen to output the energy image. At first I tried the E1 energy function, but I wasn't as satisfied, so then I changed to a gradient type function. What I enjoyed most was definitely playing around with images and seeing how effective seam carving was for specific types of images. In conclusion, images with textured objects on simple backgrounds will work better. It begins to suffer with highly structured scenes. There is potential for the improvement of seam detection, in which removing a low energy seam can result in the creation of a higher energy seam. There is also a possibility for this to extend to videos, in which we can calculate 2D seams. That's it, thanks for watching.